Fun time!
Howdy ho, my Tomodachi's. Before I start today's video, I want to give a shout out to my favorite gay YouTuber since it is Pride Month, and that YouTuber is Diesel Patches. Around 4 years ago, he was exposed for being the big gay, and he has worn it like a badge of honor ever since. If for some reason you don't know who he is, then what's wrong with you? In all seriousness though, if you haven't heard of him or heard of his content, then check him out. He's pretty funny. I'd highly recommend him, but anyways, on with the video. As everyone knows, iDubbbz made an apology video basically addressing his past edgy content, and he essentially apologized to anyone he may have offended, and he also apologized for how he acted in those videos. Now, I personally didn't make a video addressing his apology because I haven't really kept up with iDubbbz enough in my lifetime. Even though I've kept up with all of the recent iDubbbz drama, I mean, dating all the way back to his girlfriend, and now with Creator Clash, it didn't feel right for me to make a video on him. But pretty much ever since that apology video, an interesting discussion that hasn't been seriously discussed in a long time ever since the YouTube COPPA policy has recently resurfaced and come into the limelight again. The argument in question is whether or not content creators are personally responsible for the actions of each and every individual member of their audiences. Now, where this argument relates to the iDubbbz apology is that Ian implied that his use of slurs and edgy humor in the past content cops that he's made and his past content in general was wrongfully interpreted by a lot of his audience, and that perpetuated the spread of genuine hatred, racism, and bigotry, you know, all the stuff that we don't want in this world. And then Ian apologized and said that it was all his fault, and he's unlisted all of his edgy content to try and prevent the more unhinged people in his audience from wrongfully harassing people or spreading general hate. Now, I can partly understand why this argument was being formed and why Ian has taken that to heart, but at the same time, the logic doesn't make too much sense to me. Even though iDubbbz is wholly responsible for the words that come out of his mouth, that doesn't mean he's responsible for how his audience interprets it. And that logic applies to every single content creator in existence, and myself included. Like, I personally have a dark, dry, sarcastic, or sometimes just straight up fucked up sense of humor, and every joke that I make should not be taken seriously. Simple as that. The same thing goes for people like Fitz, Raccoon Eggs, Swagger Souls, hell, even Vanoss as of recently.
Wow, now it's time to go molest some children!
And even though a majority of these people's communities have already established that the dark, edgy, dry, or fucked up jokes that they make are just that, jokes, you're still going to have the more unhinged people go out of their way to spread unnecessary hate or even harass people, solely based on those jokes alone. And the same thing goes for people within the commentary community like Diesel Patches, Optimus, Sensitive Society, Ludwig, and even Charlie. And again, this technically extends to me because I do make commentaries after all. If we make commentary videos criticizing popular people with large audiences that we just so happen to disagree with, the most we can do is either leave a pinned comment saying don't be a dick or don't harass this person, or just straight up telling us in the video to not be a dick or to harass someone. But there isn't much that can be done if the unhinged people in our audiences go out of their way to not listen to us and do harass the people we talk about. And I should clarify something too. The point I'm making of creators shouldn't be held accountable for unhinged audience members, that only applies to creators that don't have malicious or deviant intent. Now, if a creator actively encourages and or supports harassment, bullying, or, you know, other unhinged actions from their audience, then yeah, they should 100% be held accountable for their actions. So basically, people like Sneeko and Pokimane. Now, another part of this argument of a creator being responsible for their audience that I want to bring to the table comes from a debate on the most intelligent social media platform in existence. The argument in question took place between Ludwig and Willie Mac's show. Now, if you want a full review of this argument between Ludwig and Willie Mac's show, then maybe click off this video and check out Boblax's. All I'm personally going to do is review the video that started this whole Twitter World War and then give my personal thoughts on it right now.
Clear that I am absolutely responsible for my audience. If you want to, you know, look out for people who are red flags, it's definitely people who had my mentality that say, I'm not responsible for what my audience does.
I completely agree. And there are so many fucking content creators out there that just leave that at the door. They like turn on, they go in their computer and they do their content and do this. And the second they're offline, they just like let the snowball go down the hill. You are absolutely responsible for your audience and what they're saying and doing and what's happening in different discords and stuff. You have to. No one else can be. You are the mother that birthed that audience, right? They are a reflection of of you. It makes me sick to think of like what you guys might say and do in other channels. That's why I'm like very strict here, right?
Now, as for my overall thoughts on this video, I think the mentality that this guy has is pretty fucking stupid. Again, you can verbally reprimand your audience to not do something, to not be dicks to people you talk shit about or even harass people, but at the end of the day, you're still not responsible for if the more unhinged people in your audience go against your wishes and do it anyway. Also, that little analogy about you being the mother that birthed that audience really annoys me because that also implies that it's your job to practically raise the audience as well as entertain them. As the title of the video has implied, I'm not your mother, I'm not your father, I'm not even your babysitter. The way I like to do YouTube is I open up my computer, I criticize something I disagree with, and I make a bunch of dumb jokes. And I prefer to do so in front of what I hope is a mature audience. I don't want to be a role model. I want to be an entertainer.
Actually, Ninja made a tweet that said that you aren't responsible for them, but you have a responsibility to be a good role model and leader, especially when you're talking about sensitive topics.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit?
If you want to be a content creator that's a good role model and leader, then that's all well and good, but it shouldn't be something that content creators are forced to do. And the way Ninja worded his tweet, he's almost making it seem like it is something we're forced to do, when it realistically shouldn't be. Like, at all. It shouldn't be my job to raise my audience or give them the correct moral compass or teach them their right from their wrong. That should be the parent's job, plain and simple. Now, if I make a video with an opinion that you agree with, or if you laugh at a Hitler 9/11 joke that I do, that's all well and good, but at the same time, don't expect me to raise you. And also, the fact that I would be making Hitler or 9/11 jokes or even thinking about it already implies that I am not qualified in any way, shape, or form to raise anyone on this website. Now, I may act like the cool uncle from time to time and give you a sip of my beer when no one's looking, but don't expect anything more than that. Alright, bye.